I just think it's unrealistic. If you have to micromanage everyone, you won't be able to get anything done because there's only so much time in the day. And secondly, the reason why I hired these people is because I've let my ego go. I want to hire people that are smarter and better in certain ways, and I want them to have the freedom to blow me away, do something that like I need to think of, right? So I think you have to have very clear communication because two people are never always thinking the same thing, right? So, sometimes if we're all so busy running around this country, we don't talk enough. Sometimes, it's a good reminder of, okay, let's just have at least weekly conversations and make sure we're on the same page, because I don't really care how that person gets to that. As long as it's the same end goal, we're all winning.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
What is the opposite of micromanagement? Well, this is not a quiz. The opposite of micromanagement, from my perspective, is empowerment. Truly trusting your employees enough to have them share their ideas, have them think through the problems, have them make decisions, have them fail and move forward and learn from it. This is what leadership is really about. If you empower your people, they will learn that you trust them, and they will give you back loyalty, creativity, and innovation. Today we have a special guest. We have the founder of Sweet Lorens. It's a great product if you have a sweet tooth and you want something that's healthy. Sweet Lorens creates a lot of different products. They've grown really fast in the market. They were 114 on the Inc. list this year. They grew at over 3,000% and only 8 people to do that. How do you do it? Well, I talked with the founder of that. Her name is Loren Brill. Loren believes in no micromanagement. And if you want to stop micromanaging, you can actually create more growth in your company, but you've got to let go of some of the common things that get in the way, like ego. We talk about that specifically inside the interview. I want to help you grow the company, so tuning in to these podcasts can really take you to the next level. So make sure you share this with a friend that you know wants to be the leader that grows fast and creates a team where people are empowered. Today we're going to talk about stop micromanaging to grow your company. Now here's the interview with Loren. Before we dive into the interview, I wanted to remind you that you can actually get a tool that I've been working with clients with for the last couple of years. I've refined this tool that's gone through several iterations. Now we have it completely automated. You can actually go online and fill out the leadership quiz. To get the leadership quiz, just go to theleadershipquiz.com. That's pretty easy, right? Theleadershipquiz.com. What you will get when you do that is you will answer a few questions. You will see where you rate based on the core principles of fast growth companies. If you're ready to grow your company or you want to see where you are, then make sure you go to theleadershipquiz.com. Inside it, you will get insight to where you are, understand where you want to improve, and you will get them mapped into the 10 areas that are most specific to fast growth companies. Again, go to theleadershipquiz.com and you can get that right now. Hi, Loren. How are you?
Wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Excited to have you on the podcast to talk about, your leadership and the style that it's taken to grow your company fast. I've already told our audience a little bit about you, but I would love for you to tell them about Sweet Lorens. So it's a really an important product for our health. Tell us about Sweet Lorens.
So it's Sweet Lorens.
Lorens.
It's all good. I'm Loren, so Sweet Lorens, and I started Sweet Lorens, which is really, we're a clean food company, and our goal is to transform what it means to be convenient and delicious. So it is possible to use clean ingredients and also be incredibly decadent and delicious. So our first product line is cookie dough. We sell bakeable cookie dough and also edible cookie dough, and everything is non-GMO, very simple ingredients. It's also gluten-free certified, plant-based, nut-free, dairy-free, so that really everyone can enjoy, whether, regardless of their lifestyle or dietary restriction or maybe allergy. So I started Sweet Lorens because I overcame cancer after I graduated college, and I was searching for ways to satisfy my sweet tooth with ingredients that I wanted in my body. And I just was so frustrated with what I could find out there in the market. And so I decided to make my own recipes. And after several tries, I, finally created these recipes that I just thought were the most delicious thing, and they made me feel great too. And then when I saw my friends and family love them too, I just saw a need in the marketplace, where, really millions of people are starving for better quality food. And because I was frustrated with the brands that were out there, I decided to create a brand that would be trustworthy and that you could find in your local supermarket. And, it was made of ingredients that you were happy feeding your kids or yourself.
I feel like we have three big problems that people don't talk about enough. One of them is our education system. One of them is our healthcare system. And the other one is this whole concept of food-like products. And so you have specifically working on a really big issue across the country. When you think about that, does that drive the team to be a part of this big mission?
Absolutely. You're definitely not part of the food, consumer packaged goods industry or Sweet Lorens if you don't have such a dire passion to really protect, the food that we eat and make sure it's something you can feel good about. So I was, once I created my recipes, I started to write a business plan for what Sweet Lorens would be. And I looked at different options. I was like, I could open a bakery. I could create, or I could create a packaged product that could then be sold, in supermarkets across the country. And my goal really was to reach as many people as possible, because that's how you really change and have a positive effect on something. And so I felt like if I just opened a bakery in New York City, great, I'd reach people in New York City, but I wouldn't reach, you if you were traveling or if you lived anywhere else. And I just know how busy we all are. So, we really all live on what we can find at our local supermarket. And so I just felt like that was so powerful. And, because once I started to study the options of food out there, once you study packaged food, you realize there's a couple brands that really own most of the products and brands out there in the supermarket. And so instead of just going in as a normal shopper, what do I want to eat today? You look at it very differently. And you realize that the ethos of a lot of these bigger companies is not health and wellness. It's not non-GMO. It's not clean. It's not sustainably sourced ingredients that are better for the environment. And, when you care so much about what goes in your body, I just think food is so important. It is so connected to our health and well-being, and it should be delicious. And so since bigger brands don't always have that same ethos, that's what inspired me to jump in and start my brand. And I think that if you saw the amount of emails we get from our fans every day, we get such amazing calls and messages and emails from fans saying, you're making me believe in food again. I'm so grateful for your product. Me and my husband or boyfriend are obsessed, or I feel like super mom or super dad because I can feed this to my kids and all of their friends when they come over, and I don't have to worry. How'd you make something so natural, taste so delicious? So I think that's really what gets our whole team excited. It's the opportunity to be a small company, but outsmart the bigger companies and make a really big positive effect. And also just continue to make a lot of people really happy.
Well, I want to talk about your team a little bit, because one of the things I'm impressed with what you guys have done, not only are you making an impact in how we see food, that you do have this ability to create something that tastes great and satisfies that sweet tooth, which I have too, Loren.
Yeah.
The team is very important to the success of any organization, but you don't have a very big team. And I know you do some co-packing for your products. So you have some extensions and strategic partners around this, but you have a team of about 8 people, but you've grown at over 3,000% in the last 3 years. Like, that's really impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that I started this company by myself, and so I didn't have partners, and I know what it's like to be really scrappy. I'm really glad I started by myself, in the sense that I know how hard each department is. I know what you have to do from, managing the factory to operations to sales to marketing to finance. But I also know, what one person is capable of. And it's not very much, right? We max out, and also it's not sustainable having one person do everything. And then the real ego check too is that, we're all not great at everything. So it was a good learning process for me to figure out, what do I love doing and what am I best at? And how can I bring in the smartest people I can possibly find that are also driven by what I'm driven by, that want to be part of this mission and this team. And so, for instance, I got us into Publix and Kroger supermarkets on our first meeting. We really got full distribution in Publix and then Kroger then after, which was such a godsend and so great that they believed in us. And that really made us go from a small business to a nationally distributed, in thousands of supermarkets. And after that, I brought on our VP of sales who had, 30 years experience managing supermarkets. And so brought on a really great COO. And, so we've just hired people as we've needed them. And as the company has kind of scaled and we've been able to bring someone on, and we've brought on people that are just entrepreneurial and really come with experience and expertise in their field so that, we can hit the ground running.
Hold it for a second. Loren just talked about the need to have entrepreneurial thinking across the team. And I really believe this is a powerful element as a leader. If you have enough confidence to hire people who think entrepreneurial, then you will be able to benefit from that in a major way. People that think entrepreneurial have more creativity and have the ability to see things that have never been done and be able to think about solutions for them. You may call this an entrepreneur, whatever you call it. Are you encouraging people to think like entrepreneurs, to be the CEO of the projects that they're running or the team that they're running, to have the CEO mindset around the client experience? That is a very powerful way that the company can continue to grow beyond where it is now, is encouraging that entrepreneurial thinking. Now back to the interview.
Well, I want to go deeper on that because getting the level of sales you have with 8 people is not just by chance. And it wasn't just hiring some people that had some connections. Your management style or leadership style, if you will, is one of no micromanagement. So where does that come from?
So I think that what I've learned in all of this is that when you bring on people who are specialists and smarter than you in different ways, there's no right or wrong way to do something as long as you agree on the end goal. Like for instance, managing our factory. If me and my CEO are very clear about, what a great partnership looks like, what our cost of goods need to be, what new products we want to launch. If we're in agreement on those things and we meet about them weekly, we're very, very we're really organized in terms of the way that we have management meetings and each of our goals, then I'm not going to micromanage her and tell her how to manage the factory. She comes with years of experience and has her own style, and she can do it better than me. And I can't wait to see what she can pull off. Right. So, I think that, I just think it's unrealistic. If you have to micromanage everyone, you won't be able to get anything done because there's only so much time in the day. And secondly, the reason why I hired these people is because I've let my ego go. I want to hire people that are smarter and better in certain ways. And I want them to have the freedom to blow me away, do something that like I didn't even think of. Right. So I think you have to have very clear communication because 2 people are never always thinking the same thing, right? So, sometimes if we're all so busy running around this country, we don't talk enough. Sometimes, it's a good reminder of, okay, let's just have at least weekly conversations and make sure we're on the same page, because I don't really care how that person gets to that. As long as it's the same end goal, we're all winning. And so I think that's been really helpful. And then also just, I want to be as supportive as possible. I used to work in a restaurant and the owner was not supportive. He was angry. He was aggressive. He yelled a lot. Like I was completely uninspired. It's actually what inspired me to start my own company, because I vowed I would never make someone like that money again, that I wanted to be in charge of my own future. And I want to create an environment that is serious. We all have goals and we're all very responsible for certain things, but it's supportive. We want to lift people up. It's a positive, fun place to work. And people should be, celebrated when they do something excellent. And, so I think that's, I'm trying to create Sweet Lorens to be the environment that I personally want to work in.
I was going to ask you the question, but you went there without me, which is, where did this come from? And it basically came from having bad leadership. And we've all probably been there. We've all had those moments where we want to create something completely unique because we knew that you didn't give your best in those
that situation, and you want your employees to give their best. Our employees are the biggest expense that we make in our companies.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about, this no micromanagement style, is there anything specific that you do that, you can share with us, maybe even counterintuitive around conversations one-on-one or team-based?
I think that what I've seen be the best thing for Sweet Lorens is maybe it sounds simple or maybe not that effective, but we have every Monday morning at 10 a.m. we have a status check-in, and everyone calls in from wherever they are, and we go through, just each team member kind of gives an update on what they're working on, anything that's relevant or newsworthy, because every week something crazy, unpredictable happens, and if they need something from someone else, or they just want to remind the team of something else that's coming up, and that is the only time of the whole week, because we have salespeople that are in the middle of the country that are flying all the time, and we're not always all physically together in one office, but it's the only time every week that we connect for 45 minutes, and really kind of highlight the things that are going on and that we need, and just the reminders and goals of what need to get done. And I think it's been incredibly helpful, because it's a nice rhythm to put everyone on. It's a nice way to start the week. And again, I'm excited to see how people would do things in a better way than I could. So as long as we're aligned on that goal and that priority, then I think it's an exciting. People like to have goals to work towards, and I like to see how they pull it off. And then it's also very open. So it's like, if someone's having trouble with something, okay, like after status is over, let's hop on a call and let's problem solve it. Like a bunch of smart minds together, we've always solved every problem that we've come faced with, even when it seemed like it was the hardest mountain to climb, So I think just that attitude of, you're not alone, if you need something, if you want to talk it through, if you want to just bounce ideas back and forth, let's all help each other, because that's what's led to our success.
So Loren, what about one-on-one? This happens all the time inside of our organizations, and I'm not trying to get too specific with your specific problems, but someone comes to you with a roadblock or challenge. If you really believe in no micromanagement, how do you handle those conversations?
Well, I mean, it's not that I believe in no micromanagement, but I can't. I don't want to have to micromanage anyone. But I think that, when there's a problem, let's say, our director of marketing comes to me with a problem. I don't necessarily know the answer, because I'm not involved in the day-to-day of certain things. But I think that, if she came to me with a problem, maybe we are working on like a script for some marketing campaign we're doing, and she's like, I can't get this right. I don't know, the right way to say something. First of all, I can't expect her to know everything, right? Like, we're all in this together. So I definitely have a lot of one-on-ones and calls with her to think through things and problem solve. But I try to, like, sometimes when you're so stuck inside a problem, you kind of forget what is the problem I'm trying to solve. Like, you're just managing so many different issues in your head. And I think sometimes if you can have someone like come in and say, all right, what is the goal here? It's to drive sales, right? It's not, it's to get people into the supermarket to try Sweet Lorens refrigerated cookie dough. So how do we make sure that, like, this marketing does that? Because otherwise it's not going to be successful, right? It could do a lot of other things. It can maybe get us more press. It can do other things. But what we're really looking for is to reach more people. And, like, this is the problem we have to stay focused on. And sometimes that's just really helpful to be reminded of, like, okay, what's the number one goal? Because there's 2, 3, 4, 5 other goals that you want to hit too. But sometimes giving that perspective and that focus really helps.
Sounds like it's the power of asking the questions. Like, you may not know the answer, but you do know the direction the company's going. And so you allowing them to think through this by asking those questions empowers them to have their own opinions and to make decisions about how we're going to move forward. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I value their opinion, like I could say, I think that it's going to sound better like this. And then she'll work on something and send it back to me. And then I'll be like, well, what do you think? And she'll be like, actually, I think like the original one was better. And then I'll think about it. And if my gut agrees, it's like, then go for it. Go, then I agree. Unless I adamantly really don't feel like that's the right move. I'm going to trust someone who's living and breathing this, as well.
Loren, one of the areas that I find that a lot of people that believe in this, going away from micromanagement is they have a healthy relationship with failure. I'm sure you guys have had some ups and downs and things that didn't go well. I know you said your first meeting with, large supermarket went well, which is probably out of the norm. Because since then you probably have gotten told no. How do you create that healthy sense of failure inside your organization?
It's a great point. I think you do have to be really okay with failure in the sense of, and I don't know about like failure, but like just things not going, easy and smooth all the time. And I think something that we constantly talk to the team about is, for instance, our head of sales, like she's done amazingly. And it's like, thankfully we've had really great growth, but it's not, there's not always a yes, I'm ready to take your product tomorrow. And when sometimes she shows me things where she'll just keep in touch with that customer for, it could be 6 months. But the way that she follows up, how she follows up, and then all of a sudden 6 months later, there's an opportunity, and we're top of mind, and all of a sudden she gets us into that customer. And so it's just these lessons of you can't give up. If there's a no, it's not a no forever. How do we learn from that no? Why was it a no right now? How do we get around that? How do we make it kind of a fun game as opposed to, I'm so upset I didn't get into that account. How do we make it a goal that by the end of the year, let's get in there? And so I think, we always say we try to mitigate risk. So let's say we're preparing for a trade show. We don't just let our marketing department, go and do whatever they want. Like they do a ton of research. They come to us with like low budget option, the most expensive option, and like a medium option. We look at, we decide as a team, like what makes the most sense. We move forward, what is there anything we can cut out? How do we be the most effective but efficient? So that, we're mitigating risks, and has done so much of the work and research, but we're helping to manage the budget of it as well. And so I think that, I think you try to mitigate risk, and then you also say to people, okay, like you can make whatever mistakes, but you got to learn from them. And as long as you keep learning and putting one foot forward, you will be the smartest one in the room by the end of the year.
So Loren, I really appreciate you being here, sharing your perspective on leadership. And thank you for what you're doing with the company. I really can appreciate a sweet tooth that is healthy. So I'm excited to try the products and have you here on the podcast to share your wisdom.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Love this interview. Love getting into the details of going beyond micromanagement. To stop micromanaging your employees, you want to make sure that you check your ego, because a lot of time what's getting in the way of you letting go and letting them truly be empowered is your own ego. Today, we talked about that specifically. Now, I know it's hard to take, but part of having an executive coach is having someone that gives you a new perspective, allows you to look at your own ego from a different way so that you get out of your own way. Now, I love what I'm doing. I've been a coach for the last 8 years. I grew a fast growth company. If I could help you grow your company, I would love to. If you want to reach out to me, just go to gene@genehammett.com. That's my email. I'd love to help you understand what's holding you back. How do you let go of something so that you can create the evolution and the power you need to keep evolving? Make sure you tell your friends about this podcast. Growth Think Tank is something I created to help leaders go through the defining moments of their own growth and really clarify how they want to move forward, specifically through strategies and tactics, but also some of the mindset shifts that are necessary. Make sure you keep tuning in, and make sure you share it with a friend that you know wants to be a better leader. As always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.